Another reason why I left Christianity and fundamentalist churches is that the church teaches its members they're broken, sinful human beings. I grew up in a culture where if you weren't redeemed by God, you were considered a broken, in desperate need of a savior kind of individual. And this is so damaging to people who need to be seen from birth that they're whole, wonderful, warm human beings. They don't need to see themselves as somebody who needs saving. And if you're a girl, I think it's much worse because society and church teaches you need to be saved by a man or a male deity. People are not broken. They may be hurt, they may be recovering, they may be traumatized, but nobody's broken. Even if we're our worst critics of ourselves, and I'm used to internalized hate of my own flaws and weaknesses, that's what makes you you. Your flaws, your strengths, your interests, that's what makes you an individual. A very specific, a very rare kind of person. But imagine growing up in a culture where you're taught from birth that you are a horrible, sinful, miserable human being. And what happens when girls or boys are assaulted or receive misconduct from people? Then they're told they're a different kind of broken. If you're not a virgin, you're a broken individual. No one will want you, especially a man. But that's not true. You can have had a high body count, even though I don't believe in body counts. You can have traveled the world learning everything there is to know. That doesn't make you less likely to find a husband or a wife. And there's different kinds of being broken according to Christianity. There's sexual brokenness, physical brokenness, emotional and psychological brokenness. There's behavioral brokenness. And it's all a bunch of malarkey. Christianity creates an issue, a cancer, an addiction, to supply the naive and the desperate and the uneducated a solution they don't need. If you're not suffering from a disease, you don't need a cure. And the cure Christianity provides doesn't cure you. It's either a band-aid or a start of an abusive cycle. Everyone deserves to grow up and exist as an adult without being told they're a freak, they're broken, they're different, they're a monster. And society does not accept people who aren't like them. And imagine not being a female virgin at 21, but look how the LGBTQIA views themselves in religious and conservative environments. They're told they're broken, they're unnatural, they're a scourge and a sin. This creates depression, suicide, familial and environmental ostracization and isolation. It does horrible things to people's psyches, their feelings, their sense of safety. When we look at people who are whole, different and interesting and call them broken, unsaved, dirty, and used, we create an environment that treats different people like they have leprosy. And I grew up in an environment that called gay people a sin and that independent unmarried women were a judgment. Just because someone lives differently than you, is attracted to a different type of person, and has a different kind of family, doesn't mean they're broken or that they need to be fixed. What we view as broken is just someone has been hurt, they're trying to get treatment, or they're different but they don't need to change, they're unusual but they're welcome. Our society wants everyone to conform, to adhere, and to get in with what makes everyone comfortable. I'd rather everyone live their truth honestly with integrity, without caring what anyone thinks, than everyone conform, because conformity kills. It's called drinking the Kool-Aid. And people deserve better. Gay people should be able to walk the street without fear. Unmarried women should be praised and validated based on their choices. They should treat married people with respect, but not treat them better than other groups. They should make room for trans people and make them feel heard, accepted, and safe. But they don't. And fundamentalist Christians, they don't like anything that's different. That's why they fear undocumented immigrants and minorities and trans people and unmarried women that they use a slur of being a cat lady. And when people say, why aren't you normal? Why are you broken and different? Child-free at 31, no pets, no men, no kids. They say, you're going to grow up and be a cat lady. And I say, don't threaten me with a good time. And when people say, why are you an ally to the LGBTQIA community? Because if I was in any community, I would want to be heard, respected, supported, and defended, regardless of what orientation, gender, identity, or group I'm in. Everyone should feel safe. And if somebody or a group doesn't feel safe, none of us are safe, equal, happy, and pursuing happiness. And when religion and conservative politics work together to make specific scapegoats what we call broken, when they're not, they're just suffering from internalized homophobia, shame for being single at 31, and pushed into conforming to heterosexuality, we have a toxic dynamic that's going to harm, depress, and probably cause the deaths of people because they can't conform, but they're not fearless enough to walk their own path. I don't even like the word broken. Nobody's broken. They may be hurt. They may be misunderstood. They may not understand what they are. That's why we need to support them and stop treating them like they're an outsider. We need to start getting behind them and sometimes caring or helping them along their journey. We should not have to have people come out to legitimize who they are. We shouldn't assume they're straight, that they're a woman, or that they're a mother. We should assume nothing. I just assume everyone's attracted to everybody. And sometimes I don't even think if they're attracted to anybody because 1% of the population is asexual or aromantic. I just assume people are living their lives and that 99% of the people in the room, approximately, are attracted to everybody. And I just let people live their lives. Every day, I came out so I don't feel broken. So I don't feel like a monster, a stranger, or I have to feel comfortable in my own skin. And if everyone else is uncomfortable about who I really am, they're the problem. I'm not the problem. We need to get behind people who think they're broken and reassure them that they're not. Society has brainwashed them to believe they're broken, when in reality, they're just a different type of person. And normal doesn't exist. What we think is normal in 2025 was abnormal in 1900 and 1750 and 1200. Every 50 to 100 years, normal changes. What we consider a normal female right now did not exist 200 years ago. Being normal, being everyday and conforming is something that society can never agree on. And it's always changing. It's like fashion. So don't put all your eggs in the basket of heteronormity. Don't make your orientation, your beliefs, and your interests your entire personality. It's just different parts of yourself. And anytime someone says you're broken, or a religion says you're unnatural, or you can't love that person because of who they are, I always say, don't let them grind you down. Don't let them make you feel like you're a monster or you're broken. Because the only person who can really convince you you're broken, a monster, or unnatural, or a sinner is yourself. That's why they call it internalized hate, internalized homophobia, internalized sexism and racism. Until you believe it, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Because at the end of the day, if you don't see yourself as a fully whole person who is the best version of themselves, that makes every day better than the last day they were in. That's not a broken person. That's a thriving person. And our society doesn't like happy, independent women. They don't like gays and trans and bi people having a better life than they do. Sometimes the best revenge is thinking of yourself in a positive way with self-confidence, living, thriving, and blossoming, while the people who think you're broken, or institutions and religions that think you're broken, don't thrive. They don't last much longer than they think they're going to. Toxic religion is on the way out because people just aren't putting up with it anymore. And that's one of the best parts about living on this side of the century versus living back in the 20th century. I'm an atheist, and I love being free. And what they consider brokenness is me having individuality, autonomy, agency, and sovereignty over my own life. I'm not broken because I'm single. I think the only kind of person who is broken is someone who is so narrow-minded they can't see that there are different ways to live your life. There are different people you can love. Those are broken people. But I'm not broken because I'm an ally and I pursue life in every way I want to. And I reject the idea I'm broken and instead embrace that, yeah, I'm different. But very few people who are normal are remembered in history.